Sandra Husbands is a woman who cares. If I had to describe myself, I would say that I'm a person that tends to be strategic, I tend to be visionary, I care passionately about people doing well. And it is because of that that I get involved in all the things I've gotten involved in over the years. I've loved working with young people because young people have lots of energy, they have lots of creativity, and they have dreams, and I like that. And what I always like to do is to be able to help them to see a pathway to make that dream become a reality. Sometimes when I look at them and I realize that a lot of them have maybe another 40, 50 years in front of them, so much life to live, I keep thinking to myself, I'd be so glad if I could just jump back to where they are right now, carry with me all the knowledge and experience that I have right now, and I would make life
I used
to do a lot of work, for example, with the Interschool Christian Fellowship. I used to be a camp counselor. I used to work with the ISCF in terms of helping young people find values and be able to find their spiritual life. Also, I've done work with youth groups, and I would go and do presentations to them and talk to them about things like finding your potential, being able to discover your personality, who are you and what are you bringing into this world, helping them to understand that they were designed to bring a creative response to life. Those are the sorts of things that I do. I like helping people to find their place in life and to make that place really work for them. Spirituality to me means having that connection or that relationship with God. That relationship is not always perfect. I think He accepts where you are as a person and He works with you. The important thing is that as you're walking, whatever happens, you have a point of reference from which to examine what has happened. And you also have a point of reference to determine how you're going to deal with it. If you find that you're unable to deal with it, you know that there's help and strength to help you get there. And that's what spirituality is for me. Walking with God through uncharted waters, walking through life. And I'll tell you, life is not the easiest thing that people could experience, but it's what we have. So we make the most of it and enjoy as much of it as we can. My childhood was actually very energetic. I grew up in a village in the first couple of years of my life till about age 6 or 7, and I got accustomed to running up and down the village with all the other kids, and there were only 3 girls and 11 boys, so we did a lot of boy stuff. We climbed trees, picked fruit, played cowboys and Indians. We would scramble in and out of the old cars that were knocking around the village. You ate lunch at whichever house you happened to land at around lunchtime. Parents were just so glad to stuff something down your throat. They'd feed everybody that was in the group. And I enjoyed that early part of my life. Then I spent some time with my grandparents when my mother went overseas to study in Canada. So we were with her for about a year. And they ran a business, and this was the area shop where people would come to get their groceries. And it was always a bustling place. Lots of people coming in and out, people talking, all the exchange of information going on. And I enjoyed the hustle and bustle of it. The things that stood out for me living in the country with them, because it was so different from where we lived in the urban area, was walking to school through the cane fields. My goodness, a whole troop of children. We would go up under the care and guidance of a teacher who was on their way to school, and we would walk through those cane fields and come to school and have the most glorious time, because we had great teachers and we had a great time at school in the country. So I had a little bit of both. Then later we moved to Regency Park when I was about 7, and I remember the shock, because it was so different. Neighbors didn't interact with each other in the same way that they did in the village. Kids didn't run in and out of each other's houses. In order to play, you had to call and make an appointment. And we could not understand that. The first couple of years were so hard. We felt so lonely. I mean, there were 3 of us, but it was so different from playing with 11 kids all around, you know. But then after a while, we got accustomed to living there, and we spent most of our teenage years there. And it was from there that I would have gone to school and so on. And after a while, because I think deep inside I still hungered for children all around, I gradually got the neighborhood kids to treat our house as a playground. So on evenings, sometimes I'll have as many as 20 kids. And parents were quite happy eventually to release them to me, because they said, as long as Sandra is going to be there, you can go and play. And so we would have bicycle races up and down the street, and I would have a little one in my arms and two pulling on my skirt and a few playing over on the lawn, and I would just be taking care of all these kids. And like during the vacation, I love vacation time, because it meant in the summer I had all these children to myself, and we would just play the entire summer. So I enjoyed it. I've been auntie, I've been not stepmother, but I've been adopted mother for kids who feel that they need a little extra maternal touch. I can often offer that, and I get to enjoy it. Right now, I don't think you can substitute for the village. I think that the village will interact with the child in different ways. I feel, for example, that while you don't have people at home like before, where you could come home and stay at somebody's house until your parents come in and so on and so forth, I think that in years to come, the village will become the people you interact with on Facebook, or the people you interact with via the social media. I think children will develop their own methods of forming community. Now, for those of us who experienced community back in the 60s, it seems wrong, it seems strange, it seems like this is not good, but this is all they know, and they will form their own community. I think the challenge that we have as adults is, how do we ensure what is happening in that community, what influences are taking place, and how do we protect them while they're in that new community. And I think that this is something that as a society we have to think out, and as parents that we have to deal with. One of the things, for example, like in one of my districts in the constituency in Haynesville, one of the things I want to be able to do is to be able to use technology to help children talk with children from another country, so that they can use the Skype and they can chat, so that they begin to realize that the world is more than just the four walls that they live in or the four corners of their village. They can actually reach the world.